bajai vina Radhika Ramana name Nama mani udita hoy Bhagata Gita Same Narad Muni bajai vina Radhika Ramana name Janna Bhagane Nache Hariya Panahiya Narad Muni Bajai Jane Jehovah Kanye, Jehovah Nache, Jehovah Devane Mane Jehovah Kanye, Jehovah Nache, Narad Muni bajai vina Radhika Ramana name Narad Muni bajai vina Anshavajana Narade Kodi Premarasa Gira do that over. One more time on that. Shabbatana Narade Dodi Srinirasa Kanaro Here we go. Kamala Sana Nachia Bole Bolo Bolo Hari Bolo Come on, come on. That's it. One more time. Kamala Sana Nachia Bole Bolo Bolo Hari Bolo Come on. Narad Muni bajai vina Ramana name Sahasranana Parama Sute Hari Hari Valigaya Nam Prabhave Makilo Vishwa Nam Prasada Vepa Jai Narada Muni. Back to Godhead. Shri Krishna Nam Rasani Puri Puralo Amara Asha. Shri Rupa Paritachi Abhakati no Dasa. Translation. All together. When the great soul Narada Muni plays his string veena, the holy name of Radhika Ramana descends and immediately appears amidst the kirtan of the Lord's devotees. Like a monsoon cloud, the holy name showers pure nectar into their ears. All the devotees, due to great ecstasy, enthusiastically dance to their heart's content. All the inhabitants of the universe become maddened upon entering this intoxicating shower of divine sweetness. Some people cry, some dance, and others become fully intoxicated within their minds. The five-faced Lord Shiva embraces Narada Muni, repeatedly makes loud screams of ecstatic joy, while Lord Brahma dances very enthusiastically and exclaims, all of you chant, Hari Bol! Hari Bol! In supreme happiness, the thousand-faced Anantashesha sings and calls out, Hari, Hari! By the influence of the transcendental vibration of that name, the whole universe becomes ecstatically maddened, and everyone tastes and relishes the mellows of the holy name. The holy name of Krishna has fulfilled all my desires by thus manifesting on everyone's tongue. Bhakti Vinod, the humble servant of the Lord, therefore prays at the feet of Sri Rupa Goswami that the chanting Harinam may always continue in this way. Narada Muni Bhajai Now we're going to chant the Namashtakam by Rupa Goswami. I know I said something else, but I just called it audible. And then after that, we're going to recite the Chaturshloki Bhagavatam. Not the whole Bhagavatam, just the Chaturshloki. Unless you would like to do the whole Bhagavatam. Nikila Shuti Mali Ratnamala Yuti Nirajita Pada Pankajanta Aimukta Kalera Pasyamanam Paritastam Harinama Samshayami. I'm not satisfied with the tune yet. That's how we were doing before, but some little variation, right? Jayanaman Jayamu Muni Vrinda Geya He Janaranjanaya Paramakshara Krite Tumanadorada Pimanagudiritam Nikilogratapa Patalimbalumpasi Yada Bhaso Pyudyan Kavilita Bhavadvanta Vibabo Drisham Tatvandhanam Apidishati Bhakti Pranayinim Danastasya Datam Jagati Bhavam Namatarane Kritite Nirvaktum Yaha Mahimanam Prabhavati Yat Brahma Sakshat Kriti Nishchayapi Vinashamayati Vinanabogai Apaiti Nama Spuranena Tate Prarabdha Karmeti Viroti Veda Agatamana Yashodanandanao Nandasuno Kamalanayana Gopi Chandra Vrindavanendra Pranata Karuna Krishna Yaneka Swarupe Tvai Mamaratir Uchar Vardatam Namadeya Vachyam Vachakamit Yudeti Bhavato Nama Swarupa Dvayam Purvasmat Parameva Hanta Karunan Tatrapi Jani Mahe Yastasmin Vihita Parabda Nivaha Prani Samantad Bhave Asyenedam Upasasopihi Saranandam Buddhao Majjati Sudadid Shriya Janarti Rashaye Ramya Chidghana Sukha Swarupine Nama Gokula Mahotsavayate Krishna Purna Vapushe Namo Namaha Narda Vino Jivana Sutormi Nirasa Madhuri Pura Tam Krishna Nama Kamam Spurame Rasane Rasena Sada. Translation. Ready? O Harinam, the tips of the toes of your lotus feet are constantly being worshipped by the glowing radiance emanating from the string of gems known as the Upanishads, the crown jewels of all the Vedas. You are eternally adored by liberated souls like Narada and Shukadev. O Harinam, I take complete shelter of you. O Harinam, all glories to you. Sung by all the sages, you are the supreme combination of syllables, and you bring transcendental bliss to everyone. If a person utters you but once, even disrespectfully, still you relieve his many extreme sufferings. O Son of the Holy Name, even a dim glimmer of your splendor swallows the powerful darkness of materialistic life and gives those who are blind to the truth the vision to follow the path of pure devotional service. Who in this world, even if learned and pious, can fully describe your transcendental glory? O Holy Name, the Vedas declare that meditation on the impersonal Brahman cannot bring freedom from karmic reactions, that they must be enjoyed or suffered, but that when you manifest in one's consciousness, all karma at once disappears. O Holy Name, you have many forms such as Agadamana, crusher of Agasura, Yashodanandana, darling child of Yashoda, Nanda Suno, son of Nanda, Kamalanayana, lotus-eyed one, Gopi Chandra, moon of the gopis, Vrindavanendra, king of Vrindavan, Pranata Karuna, he who is merciful to the surrendered souls, and Krishna. I pray that my love for you in your many forms may greatly increase. O Holy Name, you manifest two forms, the Supreme Person you designate and the sound vibration that designates. We know that the second form is more merciful than the first, because even if a person offends your first form in many ways, you plunge him into an ocean of transcendental bliss if he serves your second form with his voice. O Holy Name, You destroy the many sufferings of those who take shelter of you. You are the very form of concentrated spiritual bliss, a festival of happiness for Gokula, and the perfect and complete form of Lord Krishna. Again and again I bow to you. O enliver of Narada's Veena, O flutter of the waves of sweet nectar, O holy name of Lord Krishna, please forever manifest on my tongue with all your nectarian sweetness. Shri Namashtakama ki jai, Srila Rupa Goswami ki jai. And now we'll recite the Shloki Bhagavatam, Chatur Shloki Bhagavatam. Narad Muni Bajai Vina Radhika Ramanandane Ni Bajai Vina Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Ahamevasame gre nanyat yat sarasat param paschadaham yade tachcha yo vishishyeta sosmyaham. Translation. Brahma, it is I, the personality of Godhead, who was existing before the creation, when there was nothing but myself, nor was there the material nature, the cause of this creation. That which you see now is also I, the personality of Godhead, and after annihilation, what remains will also be I, the personality of God. Pratirtam yat pratiyeta na pratiyeta chatmani tadvidyadat manomayam yataso yatatamaha. O Brahma, whatever appears to be of any value, if it is without relation to me, has no reality. Know it as my illusory energy, that reflection which appears to be in darkness. Yata mahanti bhutani bhuteshu chevateshvanu pravishtanya pravishtani tatateshu nateshvaham. O Brahma, please know that the universal elements enter into the cosmos and at the same time do not enter into the cosmos. Similarly, I myself also exist within everything created, and at the same time I am outside of everything. Itabadeva jignasyam tattva jignasunatmanaha anvayavyatare kabhyam yatsyat sarvatra sarvada. A person who is searching after the supreme absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, must certainly search for it up to this, in all circumstances, in all space and time. and both directly and indirectly. Shri Chatur Shloki Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Guru Puja. Narad Muni Bajai Vina Radhika Ram Name. Narad Muni Bajai Vina Radhika Ramana Name. We have a few verses to chant before the Guru Vandanam. And you'll notice if you look towards the screen that the first of them starts with Namasheshtam. It's a prayer of gratitude just after this one. Chadiya Vaishnava Seva Nistaya Payeche Keba. Chadiya Vaishnava Seva Nistara Payeche Keba. Now here it is. Namasheshtam Manumapi Shachiputram Atra Sarupam Rupam Tasyagrajam Arupurim Maturim Goshtavati Radha Kundam Girivaramoho Radhika Madhavasham Rapto Yasya Pratita Kripaya Shri Gurum Tamnatosmi He Guru Dhyanadadina Bando Swananda Bhata Puranai Krishno Vrindavana Sinagitavatara Rasida Radha Pranaya Prachara He Dina Bando Puranai Krishno Guru Prasada Mai Manda Budhe Lakshna Padare Bahupapagare Padpada Padme Sumatishta Krishne Yadyapi Amara Guru Chaitanya Radas Tathapi Janiye Ami Kahara Prakash Guru Krishna Rupaya Shastra Brahmane Guru Rupe Krishna Kripa Karena Bhaktagane Shiksha Guru Keta Jani Krishnera Sarupa Antaryami Bhakta Shishta Eduiru Naivo Payandya Pachitim Kabayastadesha Brahma Yushapi Kritim Ridam Udasmaranta Yotar Bahistarubritam Ashubam Vajunvam Ashaya Chaitya Vapushasvagatim Yanakti. Without serving the representative of Krishna, nobody can approach Krishna. I bow down to the beautiful lotus feet of my spiritual master, by whose causeless mercy I have obtained the supreme holy name, the divine mantra, the service of the son of Shachi Mata, the association of Srila Sarup Damodar, Rupa Goswami and his older brother Sanatana Goswami, the supreme abode of Mathura, the blissful abode of Vrindavan, the divine Radha Kund of Govardhan Hill, and the desire within my heart for the loving service of Radhika and Madhava in Vrindavan. O spiritual master, O giver of divine wisdom, O friend of the fallen, you are the giver of your own bliss, and you are the only ocean of mercy. Although dwelling in Vrindavan, you have descended for the welfare of fallen souls like myself, and you are preaching the divine love of Radha for Krishna. Please be kind upon me. O friend of the lowly, O Gurudev, you are the only ocean of mercy. I'm a dull fool and have committed hundreds of thousands of offenses. I I have fallen into a dense myriad of sins. Therefore grace me with your mercy, so that my mind may be fixed on your lotus feet, on the Lord Sri Krishna. Although I know that my spiritual master is a servitor of Sri Chaitanya, I know him also as a plenary manifestation of the Lord. Every living entity is eternally a servant of Sri Krishna Chaitanya. Therefore, the spiritual master cannot be other than a servant of Lord Chaitanya. The spiritual master's eternal occupation is to expand the service of the Lord by training disciples in a service attitude. According to the deliberate opinion of all revealed scriptures, the spiritual master is non-different from Krishna. Lord Krishna, in the form of the spiritual master, delivers his devotees. The relationship of a disciple with his spiritual master is as good as his relationship with the Supreme Lord. Spiritual masters always represent themselves as the humblest servitors of the personality of Godhead. But the disciple must look upon the spiritual master as the manifested representation of Godhead. One should know the instructing spiritual master to be the personality of Krishna. Lord Krishna manifests himself as the Supersoul and as the greatest devotee of the Lord. Initiating spiritual master is a personal manifestation of Srila Madan Mohan Vigraha, whereas the instructing spiritual master is a personal representative of Srila Govinda Dev Vigraha. O my Lord, transcendental poets and experts in spiritual science could not fully express their indebtedness to you, even if they were endowed with the prolonged lifetime of Brahma, for you appear in two features, externally as the Acharya and internally as the Supersoul, to deliver the embodied living being by directing him how to come to you. The lotus feet of our spiritual master are the only way by which we can attain pure devotional service. I bow to his lotus feet with great awe and reverence. By his grace, one can cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. Our only wish is to have our consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is the perfection that fulfills all desires. He opens our darkened eyes and fills our hearts with transcendental knowledge. He is our Lord, birth after birth. From him ecstatic prema emanates. By him ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, the friend of the poor, and the Lord and master of the devotees. O Master, be merciful unto us. Give us a shade in your lotus feet. Your fame is spread all over the three worlds. Sri Guru Charana Padma Kevalabha Mando Isava Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Gauravani Pracharine Nilishesha Shunyavadi Paschatyarishatharine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, Premanande Haribo. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayom Vishpad Paramhamsa Prirajakacharya Stotara Shitta Shishimad. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Sai Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayom Vishnupad Paramhamsa Prirajakacharya Stotara Shitta Shishimad. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Ki. Ananta Koti Vaishnavi Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Zagaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gogopina Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki. Shri Mayapur Navadip Dham Ki. Shri Jagannath Puri Dham Ki. Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki. Jamuna Devi Ganga Devi Ki. Sambeta Bhakti Vrinda Ki. All glories to some of the devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande Haribo. Srimad Bhagavatam class starts in 1 minute and 32 seconds. Hare Krishna. Amazing. great. Whoa, this is a little wobbly. Gopi Janna Ballabha Jaya Giri Vardhari. Gopi Janna Ballabha Jaya Giri Vardhari. Yashoda Nandana Vraja Janarandana. Yashodanandana Vraja Janarandana. Yashodanandana Vraja Janarandana. Yashodanandana Vraja Janarandana. Jamuna Tiravanachari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Where's the downbeat? Take that. Somebody who's got rhythm. Down. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiraye. And now we'll read from the Srimad Bhagavatam, a verse recommended by Hansapriya and Radha Ballabha. They so kindly sent us a Srimad Bhagavatam verse as soon as we landed in America. This is from 2nd Canto, Chapter 8, text number 5, a true classic verse which never gets old, nor does anything in the Bhagavatam, but you're really going to like this. Pravishta karna randrena Swanam bhava saroruham Dunoti shamalam Krishna Salilasya yatasharat. Please chant. Pravishta karna randrena Svanam bhava saroruham Tunoti shamalam Krishna Salilasya yatasharat. Pravishta karna randrena Sanam bhava saroruham
Dhunoti shamalam Krishna
Dhunoti shamalam Krishna
Shalilasya yatasharat
Salilasya yatasharat.
Pravishta karnarandhrena
Pravishta karna randrena
Swanam bhavasaroruham
Svanam bhava saroruham
Dunauti shamalam Krishna
Noti
Salilasya yathasharat.
lasya Ekor.
Pravishta karnarandrena
Pravishta karna randrena
Svanam bhava saroruham
Svanam bhava saroruham
Dhunoti shamalam Krishna
Unoti shamalam Krishna
Salilasya yathasharat.
Salilasya yatashar. And here are the word meanings. Pravishta, thus being entered. Karnarandrena, through the holes of the ears. Swanam, according to one's liberated position. Bhava, constitutional relationship. Sararuham, the lotus flower. Dunoti, cleanses. Shamalam, material qualities like lust, anger, avarice, and hankering. Better look up avarice. Krishna, Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Salilasya, of the reservoir of waters. Yata, as it were. Sharat, the autumn season. And the meaning of avarice sounds like something you don't want to have.
Avarice is a noun, and it means inordinate desire of gaining and possessing wealth. And it's from Old French avarice, which means greed and covetousness. And from Latin avaritia, greed, inordinate desire.
Greed and inordinate desire. See, even back then they had a word for that. Meaning it's been around for a while. and this is the translation, the sound incarnation of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Soul, that is, Srimad Bhagavatam, enters into the heart of a self-realized devotee, sits on the lotus flower of his loving relationship, and thus cleanses the dust of material association, such as lust, anger, and hankering. Thus it acts like autumnal rains upon pools of muddy water. And here's Srila Prabhupada's purport. It is said that a single pure devotee of the Lord can deliver all the fallen souls of the world. Thus one who is actually in the confidence of a pure devotee like Narada or Shukadeva Goswami, and thus is empowered by one's spiritual master, as Narada was by Brahmaji, can not only deliver himself from the clutches of Maya or illusion, but can deliver the whole world by his pure and empowered devotional strength. The comparison to the autumnal rain that falls on muddy reservoirs of water is very appropriate. During the rainy season, all the waters of the rivers become muddy, but in the month of July, August, the autumn season, where there is a slight rainfall, the muddy waters of the rivers all over the world become at once clear. By addition of some chemical, a small reservoir of water, like that of a metropolitan waterworks tank, can be cleared, but by such a tiny effort, it is not possible to clear up all the reservoirs of water like the rivers. A powerful pure devotee of the Lord, however, can deliver not only his personal self, but also many others in his association. In other words, the cleansing of the polluted heart by other methods, like the culture of empiric knowledge or mystic gymnastics, can simply cleanse one's own heart. But devotional service to the Lord is so powerful that it can cleanse the hearts of the people in general by the devotional service of the pure, empowered devotee. A true representative of the Lord like Narada, Shukadeva Goswami, Lord Chaitanya, the six Goswamis, and later Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, etc., can deliver all people by their empowered devotional service. By sincere efforts to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, one realizes his constitutional relationship with the Lord in the transcendental humor of servitude, friendship, parental affection, or conjugal love. And by such self-realization, one becomes situated at once in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Not only were all the pure devotees like Narada self-realized souls, but they were engaged in preaching work automatically by spiritual impetus, and thus they delivered many poor souls entangled in the material modes. They became so powerful because they sincerely followed the Bhagavatam principles by regular hearing and worshiping. By such actions, the accumulated material lusts, etc., become cleansed by the personal endeavor of the Lord within the heart. The Lord is always within the heart of the living being, but he becomes manifested by one's devotional service. Purification of the heart by culture of knowledge or mystic yoga may be all right for the time being for an individual person, but it is like the cleansing of a small quantity of stagnant water by chemical processes. Such clarification of water may stand for the time being and the sediments settle down, but by a slight agitation, everything becomes muddy. The idea is that devotional service to the Lord is the only method of cleansing the heart for good, whereas other methods may be superficially good for the time being. There is a risk of becoming muddy again due to agitation of the mind. Devotional service to the Lord with specific attention for hearing Srimad Bhagavatam regularly and always is the best recommended method for liberation from the clutches of illusion. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Vidhitam Nena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Katah Maya Jadati swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvatutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanditamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Pyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktarinda Nitai Namineche Namirhate Shadamulyena Dite Chere Nitai Namineche Namirhate Shadamulyena Dite Chere Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. If any extra arrangement can be made for oxygen, it may be helpful, unless it's already been made. There's plenty outside. I'm not sure about in here. This verse really gives a clear idea about how one may be constantly in contact with Krishna, or be constantly aware of one's contact with Krishna, because we're part and parcel of Krishna. We can't be disconnected with him at any time except by our own consciousness. It also describes the process of purification that naturally takes place by hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam, because the Bhagavatam is the same as Krishna. It's his sound incarnation. And the hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam naturally awakens within one's heart a personal relationship, or one's personal relationship with Krishna. And it's perceivable by those who hear that they are becoming freed from the influences of the lower modes of material nature, and therefore it's greatly encouraging, because although there are a lot of offers for medicinal remedies in this world, Yasmat priya viyoga samyoga janma shokagnina sakala yoni shuddhahyamana dukhaushadam tadapi dukhamatad diyaham bhumam brahmami vadame tavadasya yogam. As Prahlad Maharaj says, in order to avoid inconvenience in this world, or suffering, one takes remedial measures. However, the remedial measures one must take to avoid suffering, dukaushadam tadapi dukhamatadhyaham, although they're supposedly meant to help us avoid suffering, the measures themselves may be worse than the original cause of the suffering or the original suffering itself. So Srimad Bhagavatam is the complete remedy because it is joyfully performed. One can hear the Srimad Bhagavatam in association of devotees, and one can therefore or thereafter reap the benefit of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the gradual reduction of the very cause of suffering itself, which is one's unwanted desires, known as kama. Kama means desires that can't be fulfilled and that leave us wanting or worse off than we were before when we strive to achieve them. In fact, as Devikanandan Prabhu from Singapore, the attorney, he's the lead counsel for ISKCON. He's also a great scholar. He gave class in Mayapur the other day, and he brought up a verse from Prahlad Maharaj's teachings to his classmates, which is profoundly helpful in how to live one's life. And that is, Prahlad said, that as soon as one contemplates how to be happy in the world, that's the very instant that one begins to suffer. What to speak of when one leans into it and tries to achieve that ideal of enjoying the material world, then one's suffering increases. However, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Jiv Krishna Das e Bishwas Korleto Ardukonai. When the same principle of aspiration is applied towards the service of Krishna, then it's palpable. One's misery decreases. And therefore, in the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said that the Vaishnavas are nishkam, atta eva, shanta, and therefore they're peaceful. They don't have any material desire. They only have a desire to serve Krishna. And they rigorously avoid the idea that I'm going to enjoy or there's something in it for me. They think, let me unabashedly and unabatingly serve Krishna. And by that, they feel naturally satisfied and happy. They're peaceful, shanta. Naivatmana prabhurayam nijalabha purno manam janada vidusad karano vranite yad yajjano bhagavate viditita manam tachchatmane pratimukasya yata mukashri. Prahlad Maharaj confirms that the secret of life is to serve Krishna, to glorify Krishna, decorate Krishna, to give one's heart and soul to his service. And by that method, that servitor becomes beautiful and happy and satisfied. And Krishna is Atmanam Akilatmanam, a phrase given to us by Shukadeva Goswami in the 10th canto, 14th chapter, which says that those who have realized this principle, that Krishna is the soul of our soul. So by extension, or by logical deduction, you can see that if one mistakes the body to be the self, I think my body is my soul, and therefore it's the most precious thing to me. But it's only precious because we are the soul within the body. And when we realize that, our attention goes towards the soul and activities that satisfy the soul. The greatest discovery, however, through bhakti, is that Krishna is Atmanam Akilatmanam. He's the soul of all individual souls. So by extension, same logic, if you satisfy the soul of all souls, how will you feel satisfied? And the means to do that is mentioned in this verse. Lend your ears to hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Sadyo hridyavarudyate trakritibi shushushabhishtakshanat. Bhagavatam begins by saying that those who dedicate themselves to hearing Srimad Bhagavatam capture Krishna within their hearts. The implication is he can't escape, because when we show interest in hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna, who's within our heart, is even more interested in Srimad Bhagavatam because it's about his pure devotees. That's what Srimad Bhagavatam is about. And when he hears about his pure devotees, he won't leave. Examples: when Krishna went to visit his devotees near Mithila, his two devotees, Bahulashva and Shrutadev. In the way that the Srimad Bhagavatam describes it is that Krishna was aware of their services. There were two individual devotees. One was a person of simple means, and the other was a king who had unlimited means. And Krishna went there with the sages. He invited them to ride on his chariot. Normally, say our acharyas, sages don't ride on vehicles, even chariots. But when Krishna asks you, then you take the ride. And when they went there, Krishna was greeted by these two devotees, and he expanded himself as he does. Departure eva hira shantarama bipeta, dipayate vrivate hetu samana dharma, yas tadrag eva hicha vishnu chaya vibhati, govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. The Sri Brahma Samhita confirms that although there's one original Krishna, he expands himself into unlimited other forms. Those types of forms, the varieties of forms that he expands himself into, are described by the Laghu Bhagavatamrita in detail. And Krishna went to both of their homes simultaneously. Each one of the devotees thought that he's only coming to my house. And each one of them entertained him in his own way. So Bahulashva, he was the king. He had royal opulence, so he could offer Krishna and all the sages a very opulent welcome. And we might think, if somebody hasn't already, that what about all the sages? Well, Krishna expanded himself into all the sages as well. So when they split up and they went to both their homes, then the sages were also present. And Bahulashva and Shrutadev. Shrutadev was engaged in glorifying Krishna, and the sages were there, and then Krishna said to him, midway through his appreciation of the Lord, please don't glorify me, glorify them. I am represented by my devotees. And if you give too much glorification to me and you forget glorifying the sages that are present, then I won't be satisfied. And Krishna is sensitive in this way. He's aware that his devotees love him, and he loves his devotees, and therefore the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is all about the love of Krishna's devotees for Krishna and his relationship, is the most attractive sound vibration to Krishna. So when one applies oneself to hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam, one will notice that Krishna doesn't want to leave. On the other hand, if one speaks of other subject matters, says Narada to Srila Vyasadeva, this you can find if you want to look it up. So I probably won't remember the whole verse. In chapter 5, the first canto, that when you hear topics that are separate from Krishna, it agitates one's mind. And he gives an analogy that a boat on water without a resting place would be blown about by the wind. Similarly, the mind, when exposed to topics other than Krishna, it gets blown here, there, and everywhere. And one's life becomes unproductive. Therefore, this verse said, Pravishta Karna Randrena. So this is very biological in a way, because the Karna Randrena means you got a hole in your ear, or there's a passageway here, basically it's saying. And if you just Pravishta, you let Krishna enter through your ear, Pravishta Karna Randrena, Swanam Pavam Saroruham. This now very poetically describes how the vibration of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which goes in the ear, then will attract Krishna to your heart. What's more, vidunoti shamalam Krishna. Shamalam means all the distractions that are there within the heart, including avarice, which is not very good, and lust, and envy, which ruins everything for everyone. It's totally destructive. Poison, in fact. It's worse than hala hala. And if you want to cleanse your heart, it's like a chemical spill that's taken place. Hazmat suits, everyone has to go in and clean up. But all the ways that everyone tries to clean, they're expensive. For instance, if you want to clean asbestos from your new office or home that was installed pre-awareness of the harmful effects of asbestos, then you have to pay tens of thousands of dollars to have people come with hazmat suits to clean the asbestos. And then there will be some other kind of contamination somewhere. The material world is generally contaminated. Chemical spills in all directions, especially nowadays. The vibration is, and the topics are so caustic and distracting. So what's the remedy? If you hear about Krishna, then Krishna personally, vidunoti, we know this from the very beginning of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, that Rupa Goswami describes Krishna as vidunoti. He'll help you. And who would you rather have help from other than Krishna? He's the supreme peer. Saparyagach chukram akayamavranam ashnavinam shudham apapavidam. Kavir manishi paribhu swayambur yatat yatyator tam vyadadashasvatibhya samabhyaha. He's prophylactic. He purifies everything and everyone. And you can invite him to come in, not that we want him to do any work, we just want to glorify him, but he does it on his own. Vidunoti shamalam Krishna. That the shamalam gets cleansed from the heart by the vidunoti process, that Krishna helps. And then comes the last line, which then describes the healthy condition of life when one's purified. Salilasa yatasharat. Another analogy of nature. There's certain times of the year when it rains and the waters in the reservoirs and rivers looks muddy. But during the Sharat season, there's a light rain, and that rain purifies the waterways, and it looks clear. And of course, rain is a gift from heaven. You can't manufacture it, contrary to what some people think these days. It comes by divine arrangement. And when it comes, it purifies all the waterways. So the solution to the problems of life is to hear Srimad Bhagavatam and to engage others in hearing the topics of Srimad Bhagavatam. And naturally, one reduces the troublesome elements within one's heart, within one's life. We can be perceptive, as are the great acharyas. For instance, Raghunath Das Goswami has written Manak Shiksha. And in that book, he analyzes himself. It's a great occupation to analyze yourself rather than endlessly finding faults in others. Try to find what faults I have and see if I can refine myself. It's probably a better way of instructing others anyway, to do it yourself. Ultimately, that's the best. And he notices the subtleties of desire within the heart. And we can also notice that. If I have a molecule of self-interest, material self-interest, of course we're all self-interested, but our true self is as a servitor of the Lord. And if we have that only, we'll notice that the whole world opens up to us through service. And Krishna becomes our constant guide. Tesham satata yuktanam, vachatam priti purvakam, tadami buddhi yogam tam, yenam upayanti te. He gives us very clear intelligence of how to avoid the pitfalls of the material world, how to work in such a way that we can help others and do our services and so forth. And even one tiny molecule of self-interest, in the way I defined it earlier, we, by Krishna's grace, may get an inordinate negative result. We may notice that if my motive isn't pure, that I may find myself entangled in complexities of the world and may then trace it back and say, how did I get so entangled? And it always comes back to that molecule of self-interested desire. Conclusion: give up all self-interested desire and serve Krishna. And hear Srimad Bhagavatam, the association of devotees, to come to that point of complete purification of intention and purpose. Pray by chanting Hare Krishna. Please, Krishna, if you so desire, remove any last vestiges of desire for material enjoyment from my heart. It was Prahlad's prayer, wasn't it? Because Nrsingadev said, I'm here, I'm Bhagavan, I can fulfill all your desires. You ask for something. He said, no, thank you. Not a merchant. I wasn't putting in a quarter in the machine to get something out. I just serve you. That's all there is. That's my whole intention. I serve. You're Bhagavan. I serve you. Bhagavan said, yeah, but I'm Bhagavan. I give, so you take. He said, please liberate my father, the one who just tried to kill him in multiple ways. Bhagavan said, that's already done. Guaranteed, I already saved him. Take something else. Prahlad said, if there's any prayer, if any desire, please remove any last vestiges of material desire from my heart, so that the only desire is that I serve you with love. And from the 5th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, sets of prayers there. There's one to Lord Nrsingadev that we chant sometimes. Om Namo Bhagavate Narasimhaya Namastejas Tejase Aviravir Bhava Vajranaka Vajradamscha Karmasayan Randaya Tamo Grasa Om Swaha Abhayam Atmani Bhuishta Om Shrom. used your ferocity to rip apart all the material desires, any last one within my heart. And Krishna will do that if we ask him to. In fact, when he killed Hiranyakashipu, as noted by our acharyas, he ripped out his heart. And he thought, why would you keep all these dirty things in your heart? As he was ripping out his heart. Like, why keep these in here? This is the main center of our lives. This is the center of our lives. So why would you keep the material desires? So it's not well known that we make life complex for ourselves, and we also suffer because of our own material desires. But if one reads the Bhagavatam, it becomes very clear that the solution to life is service to Krishna. And that can be achieved through the simple processes of hearing, chanting, remembering, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, worshiping, praying, surrendering everything. Did I miss one? They're all active, what? Being a friend. And incidentally, the way to become a friend is to distribute Krishna consciousness to others. Because when you have a friend, especially if your friend is Krishna, and he is, and you point him out to other people, you do kirtan. Kirti means fame. You make him famous to other people. Then Prabhupada writes in the Nectar of Devotion that that's how you become Krishna's friend. It's palpable. Let's see if there's any other points from the purport or that you want to respond to, or reflection or a question to expand the conversation for a few more minutes. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. It's very nice verse, and thanks for explaining in so much detail. We are also feeling with your presence, right? Thanks for coming back and giving your association. We are also feeling this Salilasya Yada Sarat. Perfect. So Maharaj, when you are referring back to the second verse of Bhagavatam, Yeswara Satyohi Avruddhite Trikutavi Sushrushipita Takshanat. So you are saying how Bhagavatam begins with this particular concept in the second verse itself. Now I'm thinking of another verse so that Brahmaji talks, pretty much similar to what this particular verse is saying. So it says that Tvam Bhakti Yoga Paribhavita Rutsarvacha Asya Shrute Kshitapado Nanunada Pumsam Yadyadhyata Urugaya Vibhavayanti Tattat Vapuhu Praniyase Tadanugrahaya. So actually Pravishta Karnarandraya Swanam Bhava, that Swanam Bhavam is expanded into two lines in the Brahmaji's verse. So I'm just thinking how Bhagavatam reconfirms itself again and again. Thank you.
Thank you for the reference. Where's it from?
It's from the third canto.
Third canto.
Yes.
Prayers for Creative Energy.
Yes, Brahmaji's prayers, 3-9-11.
That was very inspiring and instructive prayers. Lord Brahma praying to be empowered to do his service. And we can see from his mood in those prayers how one becomes empowered. And Prabhupada mentions that in the purport. If you sincerely represent a pure devotee, work under a pure devotee, then you also become empowered. And Prabhupada claimed again and again that he was strictly following his spiritual master's orders. He took time to clarify what his spiritual master wanted of him. He asked several times. And then he adhered to them. And he claimed, his claim was that because of adhering to the order of his spiritual master, what he had asked him to do, how he had asked him to serve, he was empowered. And this is the way to live in the world without being implicated by the world itself, which is a tar baby. It's extremely hard to live in the world without being distracted or entangled or ensnared. But if one adheres to the order of one's spiritual master, then one can live in the world without being entangled in it, without being ensnared, and without being obligated like others. Devarshi bhutatnam nrinam pitrinam nakinkaro nayam rani charajan sarvatmanaya sharanam sharanyam gato mukundam parihritikaartam. In the district of sinners, the street where everyone's peddling some sinful activity, if one has been employed there in this life, previous lives, and millions of lives, then at some point, one's debt becomes due, and you have to pay it. And that's always disappointing, isn't it? When you think you're going to be free, and then all of a sudden you realize that there's a lien on your house, or you're being asked to pay for past indulgences, and then you're not free. Well, freedom comes from unabated, unrestricted, pure devotional service to Krishna. And if one follows those who are pure devotees, by following their instructions, one gets the great benefit of attaining the same goal as them. It's the parampara. Bejare muniotagre bhagavantam adhoksajam satvam bishudham she maya kalpanteye nutaniha. And that is that if you follow the great sages, especially through the localized method of disciplic succession, then you get the same benefit as they have achieved because of your following them. Thank you. Excellent points. Yes, Devavrata Prabhu.
I'm currently at the end of the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and this point that you made about self-analysis and identifying one's material desires which are preventing full absorption of Srimad Bhagavatam, there's this beautiful chapter near the end of Kapila Dev's instructions where he gives a final instruction on how to deal with the entanglement of the material energy, because he goes through fruitive activities and how those fruitive activities really implicate one in unwanted circumstances. And he gives this beautiful verse where he says, endowed with the right vision and strengthened by devotional service and a pessimistic view towards material identity, one should relegate his body to this illusory world through his reason. Thus one can become unconcerned with this material world. So I was thinking that our understanding of body is not just a physical body, it's a subtle body as well. So I was thinking this word relegate, it means to dismiss to an inferior position, so we can demote our material desires. They don't get to hold prominence anymore, they don't get to boss, but they get demoted or they get fired. And then through that right vision, strengthened by devotional service, Krishna becomes the boss.
Thank you. It's always an important philosophical point to realize that the living condition means desire. Prabhupada points this out frequently, and it's not well known because it's not discussed much or understood well because of not being discussed in general, because oftentimes people say that enlightenment means to become free from all desire. But that's not possible. Because of the living condition, we always have desire. But Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Vishaya vinivartante nirahara sadehina rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. Drishtva is very important. It means to see something directly for oneself. And what do you see? It's something better. Param drishtva. You see the better desire, which is to serve Krishna. And once one has tasted for oneself the effects of this meaning, I desire only to serve Krishna. In one's prayers, if one is able to evoke this feeling of sincerity, and I think of this as what sincerity means. The very definition is to identify this desire that may be mixed in with other intentions, but if you can isolate it scientifically and see that, oh, I actually do only want Krishna. I don't want anything else. I do want devotional service. And that reminds me of a letter that Satyadev Prabhu and I read once when we were reading together Prabhupada's letters that he wrote to many people. It was actually used to be available, a 5-volume set of all the letters. I happen to have one. They're not available anymore. Sorry. And in it, Prabhupada was responding to someone who had asked about pure devotional service, and who said that I would like to become a pure devotee. And Prabhupada said, that desire to want to become a pure devotee is pure devotion. And if one can find that within oneself, even if there are many other identifiable lower desires, if one can identify that one desire and give one's attention to it, then we can it's noticeable that we feel satisfaction in that very instant. And we get a higher taste. And we realize it's a waste of time to entertain the lower desires. And we naturally, Krishna says, let go of them because we have higher ground. We have something else that we can hold on to. So even if other desires are present, we have a refuge, a place to go where we say, no, I only want Krishna. Even though unable to fully embrace it, it could be slightly elusive in the beginning, but it becomes more and more pointed in one's life as one has this experience. Param drishva nivartate. You see it again and again, and then one gravitates toward the association of those who obviously have that mood in their life, that I don't want anything else but Krishna. Why would I associate with someone else where I can detect that they want something else? Because number one, it's infectious. Everything's infectious in the material world. But number two, it's below our dignity as living beings to accept lowly, crass, obnoxious, gross material desires. It just becomes as the Bhagavatam describes in the hearing process, that hearing other literatures besides Srimad Bhagavatam, those who have a taste for Srimad Bhagavatam say that, oh, that's crow literature. No offense to the crows. I'm sure they're very nice in some ways. But they're omnivores. They'll eat anything. Literally. And I won't go into any more detail. Whereas the swans, they swim amongst the lotus stems and so forth. Yes?
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Welcome back.
Thank you.
We're missing you. a lot. I have a question. We were talking about the discussion between Prahlad Maharaj and Nrsingadev. So in the verse it says, when Prahlad Maharaj is replying in Srimad Bhagavatam, it says, Prahlad Maharaj said, "My dear Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, because I was born in an atheistic family, I am naturally attached to material enjoyment. Therefore, kindly do not tempt me with these illusions. I am very much afraid of material conditions, and I desire to be liberated from materialistic life. It is for this reason that I have taken shelter of your lotus feet." So here, Prahlad Maharaj is asking for liberation, looks like, from what it says, I desire to be liberated from materialistic life. And other part of this question was that I'm reading Chaitanya Charitamrita, and where Lord Chaitanya is instructing Srila Rupa Goswami, where he says, if one, this is verse 175 in that chapter, Bhukti Mukti Adi Vancha Yadi Mane Hoy Sadhana Karile Prem Utpanna Hoy. If one is infected with the desire for material enjoyment or material liberation, he cannot rise to the platform of pure devotional service unto the Lord, even though he may superficially render devotional service according to the routine regulative principle. So the question in short is, it seems like Prahlad Maharaj is asking for liberation, and he did develop love of God, right?
It has a lot to do with semantics, as we know from Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's interaction with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Of course, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was described as an impersonalist, a Mayavadi, and after he met Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and offered service to him in the way of wanting to help a young sannyasi, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was elderly. He was well respected. He was the greatest scholar anywhere. And when he met the young sannyasi, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was 24 years old, he wanted to help him out. He was enamored of his beauty. And he said, "Let me help you all. You've taken sannyas in an inferior order of sannyasis. And therefore, I will give you another sannyasa initiation to bring you into a higher order." Those who knew that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was the Supreme Personality of Godhead scoffed at Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Gopinath Acharya, who was his nephew, said, "What are you talking about? How are you going to elevate him? He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead." And a discussion ensued. Nonetheless, Sarvabhauma had a fatherly disposition towards this young sannyasi, and he said, "I'll instruct you in the Vedanta Sutra, just to elevate you." Mahaprabhu's response is instructive in that he said, "Oh, thank you very much." And he sat and listened to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya give his commentary on the Vedanta Sutra, but he didn't say anything. That is, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu didn't say anything, he just listened. And after 7 days, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya asked, "Do you have any questions?" No. Usually people ask questions in my class. "Do you not understand what I'm saying?" Or "Do you not understand the Vedanta Sutra?" And he said, "No, I understand Vedanta Sutra. Your explanations are covering their clear meaning." And Sarvabhauma was taken aback because he had assumed that he could condescend because this was a younger person and just starting out as a sannyasi and so forth. He hadn't realized he was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And after that, they had a discussion together about the Atmarama verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And Sarvabhauma Acharya had displayed his erudite quality and gave multiple descriptions and commentary on the Atmarama verse, impromptu. I should say extemporaneously. And then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave his commentaries, far surpassing these commentaries of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya in quality and volume, and he didn't repeat anything that the Bhattacharya had said. At that point, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya had this revelation that this is the intelligence of God. Because up to that point, nobody could defeat Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, and now it's obvious that it was a little drop in compared to the oceanic intelligence of the Lord. And because of his extending himself to help in a fatherly way, he had opened his heart, and then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had given him his mercy. And then Sarvabhauma realized that, oh, this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then gave him confirmation by showing him his Narayan form, what to speak of his Sadbhuj form. And Sarvabhauma was transformed from a person whose very doctrine was to achieve liberation, mukti. But then Sarvabhauma, as a transformed, soft-hearted devotee, had a complaint. He said to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu a couple days later that I have an objection about one of the verses of the Bhagavatam. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, how can you object to a verse in the Bhagavatam? It's completely perfect. It's Amala Purana. And he said, well, there's one verse, Tatenu kampam susamikshamano bunjana evatma kritam vipakam red bhagvapur viradam namaste jiveta yo mukti pade sadaya bhak. So what's this mukti? We hate mukti. This mukti, it gives us, it shatters our hearts just to hear it. So that's true, what you're saying. The devotees, when they hear about mukti, as conceived of by the Mayavadis, that we are God, we've just been separated from from being God because of some temporary overlay, a template that's causing us to see some kind of illusory individuality. And when that's removed, then we merge back into the Lord. That's the conception of mukti that is abhorred by the devotees. So what to do? Because the word's in the Bhagavatam, mukti. And he said, I don't like this. I'm going to change it, he said. I'll change the Bhagavatam. You can't change the Bhagavatam. He said, rather there's a different meaning. You can understand that mukti pade. It means devotional service to the Lord. That he's the abode. He's the Mahapurush. By taking shelter of him in devotional service, muktipade, one's delivered naturally from all of the fetters of the material world. And you can understand in that way that it means the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Actually, it's referring to him as the deliverer of all living beings. And that Sarvabhauma is relieved. Because of, as Prabhupada had commented in his poem, he wrote, impersonal calamity thou hast moved. Do you know that poem? Prabhupada wrote a poem to his spiritual master at a Vyasa Puja in 1955. Correct me if I'm wrong. And his spiritual master liked it very much. And then that was lost. Later, Brahmananda found it in a museum. It was in a case, and he found it, and he copied it, and he brought it back. And you can hear the discussion. Prabhupada says, oh, you found it. I thought it was lost, gone. There were no, not to shock anybody, no hard drives back then. No cloud. And it was on a piece of paper, and then he found it again. Impersonal calamity thou hast moved. Did you know Prabhupada changed that? He edited his own poem. Because at the time he wrote it, impersonal calamity thou hast moved. He changed it to impersonal calamity thou hast removed. Indicating that Prabhupada went back and refined his own poem later. But the indication is it's a calamity. The whole idea is it's calamitous, that there's a way that we lose our relationship with Krishna. And so when you find references to devotees speaking about this, what they're referring to is their entanglement in any kind of material affairs that prevent them from fully serving Krishna. And that's borne out in the Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna says, Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma, Nashochati Nakangshati, Samak Sarveshu Bhuteshu, Mad Bhaktim Labate Param. He indicates, does Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, according to our acharyas, that the threshold of bhakti is when one comes to this position of liberation from identification as the material body. Then one's free to fully engage in devotional service. That's what's being referred to there, not the idea that I want to merge into the Lord. And one of the reasons that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu revered and Prahlad Maharaj and heard with Gadadhar Pandit at Tota Gopinath again and again the pastimes of Prahlad Maharaj, because this is the true entryway into bhakti, is this mood of Prahlad Maharaj that I don't want anything else. That's true liberation, because then you're free. Mad bhaktim labate param. Then what do you have to do? Nothing except devotional service. No other obligation. And nothing. That's it. Period. Last one. Yes. Will the microphone make it back there?
I wanted to build off Devavrata Prabhu's point that he made, and then you responded that living condition is desire. And agency for us is restricted by karma and our past impressions. I wanted to understand, because our living condition is our desire, by controlling our desire and shifting it towards Krishna, we're able to change our living condition. But when we're restricted by our karma and previous impressions, how do we overcome that?
Pravishnakarna randrena swanam bhavam sarodaham vidunoti? Huh? Dunoti shamalam Krishna salilasa yatasharat. By the process of devotional service itself, one rises above one's attachment to karma or karma's grip upon one. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janaya Yashavairagyam Jnanam Chayarahaitukam. There's a natural way in which, because of the power of the transcendental vibration and one's desire that arises to serve Krishna, that Krishna helps those. And you get a natural sense, you achieve detachment from those material desires. Krishna says it himself. There's a counterpart verse in the Bhagavad Gita, Prakrite kriyamanani gune karmani sarvasha ahankara vimuthatma kartaham iti manyate. This is the incarnation, sounds almost fatalistic, that you're controlled by the material nature and you're a puppet in its hands. But then Krishna says, Tattvavitu mahabaho gunakarma vibhagayo guna guneshu vartanta iti matva nasajite. However, he says, if you come to a clear knowledge, then there's a way in which you're not obligated anymore by the previous karmas that cause you to have predisposition towards certain elements, likes, dislikes in the material world, the way that we're controlled by karma. It's overridden by the power of devotional service, by coming to complete knowledge. So that all that means is devotional service. Krishna, the holy name, in fact, is more powerful than karma. After all, it's his nature. And Krishna says himself, Daivahi esha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mameveye prapadyante mayam etam tarantite. It's very difficult or impossible to overcome karma, but, it's nice to hear, erases everything ahead of it. If you surrender to me, then you can easily cross beyond it. And one of the ways you can experiment with this, if you wish, is to chant Hare Krishna. Take time to chant Hare Krishna. Don't think that, let me solve all my problems, then I'll chant Hare Krishna. Let me get a better calendar. Nothing wrong with calendars, but I just need another software to get my affairs in order. That never ends. I'm living proof of that. So at some point you have to say, enough's enough, I'm going to chant Hare Krishna and take more shelter of Krishna. That's real intelligence. Not that you shouldn't have calendars or apps, but the more we make a single and simple solution to chant Hare Krishna and listen to Krishna's name, it's self-revealing. It means the name reveals to us naturally what are the solutions. Intelligence comes to us. Krishna says himself in Bhagavad Gita, Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mamupayanti te ananyas chintayanto mam yejana paripasate tesham nityabdyuktanam yoga kshemam mahamyaham. Give more attention to Krishna. Chant Hare Krishna more. Try to serve Krishna more and see if your life doesn't improve. If you get into the weeds and try to fix it yourself, it's very difficult. Very, very difficult. You can never quite get there. And that's very frustrating. Hare Krishna is the real means. Hare Krishna. Okay, the mic didn't make it all the way back, so Achyuta, yeah.
Welcome back, Prabhu.
Thank you.
So enlivening and such a nice verse. We use this verse a lot in book distribution. And I like your closing statement in your class today that you said, the more we distribute Krishna, Krishna will become your friend. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Become a friend of Krishna. And I looked up the word friend yesterday because I had a talk I had to give on the corporate side. And I didn't have enough time to fully trace it out, but the dictionary I was looking at, I only consulted one dictionary, but it gave me a thread. Friend said follow the word free, F-R-E-E. It's just a corresponding thought that the more we become friends of Krishna, as Krishna says himself in the Bhagavad Gita, Bhoktaram yagya tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suriram sarvabhutanam gyapamam shantam richidev. If you want real peace, then remember I'm your friend, only friend. And if you become friends with Krishna, then you naturally become free. There's freedom in friendship with Krishna. Okay, well, we have other programs to proceed now, and I'm speaking on behalf of Nirakula, that we're delighted to come back here and be able to be in your association. It's just noticeably satisfying environment here because all of you are so absorbed in hearing, chanting, and doing devotional service. I feel like we're naturally happy and nourished when we come here, and we don't take it for granted. And there are a lot of opportunities here we have, and it's important to make time and give energy to those opportunities. It's one of the reasons we've been coming back and forth. I know half of the audience here, I owe you an email or a phone call or a meeting of some sort, are going away to perform yatras. We did 3 in a row, actually. as we've been joking, we've been commuting. And why would we do that? It's because we find the time that we're back here so valuable. The project that we're all engaged in here in Silicon Valley so valuable that we feel that every day, every hour we have here to attend to the matters at hand, that is in any ways that we can be helpful help in your services in any way possible, that it's so valuable that we want to spend as much time as possible here. So that's why. We just realized also that after 3 yatras in a row and coming back and forth, then, well, when are we going again? Like, not for a while. And at first I felt a little remorse, because being in the Dham so much, so important and valuable. One of my god brothers once, maybe 10 years ago or so, was noticing that I was somehow or other getting more and more service in various ways, mostly management kind of stuff, overseeing projects, probably too many at one time. And he said to me, paradoxically, you should spend more time in the Dham, even though you feel like you have less time to apportion for all these other services. You should spend more time in the Dham, because you're going to need it, basically. And we feel very fortunate to have the opportunity to be in the Dham with many of you who have come to the Dhams, and the ways in which we've developed this corridor to especially Jagannath Puri and Vrindavan and Mayapur from here at ISV seems to be well aligned with the teachings of Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, being able to go to the Dham on a regular basis and to come back and be in this Dham and extend it to as many people as possible. It's an extremely important aspect of our devotional service. And that means that we'll be looking forward to catching up with those of you who want to discuss things. I can say that in a lot of the projects that we're working on that are pressing, because we're always pressing ourselves to expand and move forward, I've, in my travels, met a lot of important devotees and discussed with them these same topics. For expansion, for instance, expanding in space, or is kind of Silicon Valley. A lot of people take that for granted nowadays, that like, oh, well, you want like a bigger space, right? And yeah, but we want to do it in the right mood, the right way, and so forth. I've had the fortune of talking to advanced devotees who have expanded and gotten insight into what are the best ways to do it, what are the order of events to do it, and so that you don't make some of the mistakes they say they've made, or in hindsight, what's the best way to do it. Or, where's Sukeshri? Revelations about expansion of education in school. I have some very definite thoughts about it after contemplating and traveling and meeting different people who are in education. And also, when we went to Mayapur this time, uncharacteristically, I spent a lot of time listening in meetings. I oftentimes play hooky because of some kind of arrogance, and I think, oh, I don't need this stuff. I'll go here and chant somewhere else. But I did attend many of the meetings at the ILS that were they were by invitation only this year. It's for people who are managing or have some position where they have official things to do. And I got a lot out of it. I felt the pulse of ISKCON in many of the important ways that ISKCON is developing, many of the concerns that are universal. I got to hear and discuss with other devotees in small groups. I met stellar devotees in smaller groups who had very refined ideas about particular things. For instance, varnashrama was a topic there. Oftentimes when you bring that up, everybody's mind goes in a different direction. Like, what does it mean to us? Do I have to move to a farm, or do I have to get a sticker that says what varna I'm in? I mean, these are universally complicated topics, but because of association with devotees there and because of discussion, I got a lot more clarity myself about the issue. And so we're not just goofing off and taking time for ourselves to hang around the Dham. We are seriously considering all that's to be done and taking in the ways in which leaders are doing things and who are very competent leaders. But it's foremost in our minds that we have a mission to do. And we've made great strides here. I can say wherever I've gone, the brand called ISKCON of Silicon Valley is appreciated. There is a way in which people notice that our kids run faster and jump higher, that there is a sense of the importance of hearing and chanting. Where else do you get 3-hour classes and so forth? And the results of book distribution speak for themselves. We have, over the years, haven't we, really focused on expanding book distribution, and there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it's one of the primary aspects of our movement. And then, of course, we have development of programs to welcome people who come as a result of the book distribution. There's a lot going on here. And as a final statement, it's important to remember what we already have. We always are forward-looking, but don't be so forward-looking that you trip and fall on your face, because you can get so anxious about what's the next thing and why isn't it bigger and so forth. You can lose the appreciation that you might have for what we have now. You have to stand in both worlds in a way that's balanced. As if you get too anxious about, okay, we don't have this, we don't have that. And I notice that generally people make comments, oftentimes people make comments not from our community, but I'm just saying, I notice on social media, for instance, some people are very negative. Whatever it is, it's like, oh, that's not the way to do it. You did it wrong. I've never heard Prabhupada say that, etc. In some cases, there may be an element of truth to something, but why be so negative? Look for the solution and look for how to do it better. Obviously, we always want to refine, should find the parts in ourselves that we want to make better rather than seeing it in everyone else. Prabhupada writes in the Nectar Devotion, our eyes should be trained to spot offenses, but not in everybody else, in ourselves. And so we have this, as I've often called it, a proving ground. It's a laboratory here. And we're experimenting with the whole process of devotional service, applying it for a modern audience, which is, most of us live outside somewhere and we congregate here. And somehow or other, we have a formula that's working. So take heart. We're doing something here that's really important. And one of the elements that's very important here is that we're all fully engaged in devotional service. And we hardly even notice that we're growing old. Right? You barely notice it, do you? Right? Every once in a while, it's like, what? And then he's like, don't worry, I got service to do. And that's how our lives will go as we've been benedicted here, to be fully absorbed in services. Grihe tako bane tako, sada hari bolu dako, suke duke bulu nako, vanane harinam korore. Whatever condition you're in, forget about it. Just do your service and continue. And that's what we intend to do here. And things are looking bright. And as Mukaravinda Prabhu told me this morning, what's your CEO's first name? Jensen Huang. Jensen Huang, in a town hall meeting, he told all the employees there at NVIDIA that you should be kind and generous. I think that's really good advice. It's the advice Krishna gives in the Bhagavad Gita. He says, one who's a kind friend to all living beings is very dear to me. You could get a tattoo of that. And just make that your theme in life. Be a kind friend to all living beings and be very generous. The Lord Chaitanya was the most generous. And where else are you going to go? The world's got a lot of potholes, and there's a lot of people struggling in the world to try to find a place where they can fit in. You could fit in here. It's a really good opportunity. So just in a heartfelt way, let's take advantage of what we have and start with our own, not just we're kind to people outside because we want to invite them to come in. We should recognize that we're amongst saints. And Prabhupada said it himself. That was his mentality when he talked about the devotees, because somebody was complaining about devotees and saying that at the time there was a little bit of a schism. There was a devotee whose group said, well, he's the only one. Everybody else is not a pure devotee. He's the only pure devotee in ISKCON. Prabhupada started listing, no, they're all pure devotees. Everybody in my movement's pure devotees, and they all go back to Godhead, everybody except for Mr. Nair. He'll have to stay here. And then he said, all of them better than kings. Better than kings. So anyone who's here engaged in devotional service, we should really consider they're better than kings. And if we treat each other with the kind of respect that Rupa Goswami recommends, that when you see somebody who's dedicated to chanting Hare Krishna, you should really go out of your way to respect them. And if you do that, you'll advance in devotional service. So what a great opportunity. When we go away and come back, we just feel so overwhelmingly satisfied and grateful for all of you, for all that you do. Every one of you, better than kings, better than queens, better than any position in this material world. We thank you so much. And we consider it Krishna's mercy on us to keep us going somehow or other. We're undeserving of all of you. We truly feel undeserving of your exalted association. And we look forward over the next week and a half while we're here. It's a short trip to Laguna Beach after the Gaur Purnima, as usual. But we don't take that for granted either. To be here and take advantage. So please feel free to reach out, or those of you already have, I'll get back to you. Just took a day or so to decompress, because flying across the planet at 800 miles an hour, somehow or other, when you land, it's like, where am I again? It takes a couple days, but we're okay now. Dear Srila Prabhupada, dear Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Shri Shri Panchatattva, Shri Shri Radha Avana Mohan, Shri Shri Lakshmi Shringadev, if you so desire, please inspire us and help us to remember that all the devotees here in our community, better than kings, every one of them. Please let us treat everyone with respect. Please let us always have a mood of kindness and generosity for everyone in the community and everyone to all living beings. by distributing Krishna consciousness generously. Thank you for considering our request. Om Tat Sat. Just a little surprised, Vaikuntha Nayaka didn't ask, or Rick. But it's good to see you anyway. Everyone who agrees with this prayer, in whole or in part, please say Hare Krishna. And now we have the program. I'm the warm-up act. For the next program, please stay for another 8.5 minutes because we have a special presentation by our highly learned and qualified youthful devotee, who's going to make a presentation. Om Tat Sat.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. His Grace Vaisesika Prabhu ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. So today we're going to be continuing with our series on the Dhruva pastime. So we started this about 6 weeks ago, and this is from Gauranga Darshan Prabhu's book Dhruva. And today Deepika will be talking on the part where Dhruva Maharaj is actually seeing the Lord, getting the darshan of the Lord. So the story goes such that Dhruva has been humiliated by his stepmother, and he gets angry. Even though he's a young 5-year-old, he has a Kshatriya spirit. He's determined to take revenge, but in the process he goes under the instructions of his mother to pray to the Lord. And there he meets his guru Narad Muni on the way to the forest, and Narad Muni instructs him very specifically how to get the darshan of the Lord. And here he is, Dhruva is getting the darshan, and we'll hear from Deepika what happens from that.
Hare Krishna. My name is Deepika, and today I'm going to be talking about chapter 7 from the book Dhruva by His Grace Gauranga Darshan Das, Transformation by Divine Touch. The Lord was very keen to meet his devotee Dhruva, so he immediately summoned his bird carrier and headed over to the forest where he was in a divine trance. As soon as he appeared and he opened his eyes, he immediately fell flat to the ground in front of the Lord's feet. I'm going to start by saying a verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 9, Verse 4. Satam vivakshantam atadvidam hir natvasya sarvasya cha hitya vistitaha kritanjalim brahmamayena kambuna pasparsha balam kipaya kapale. Although Dhruva Maharaj was a small boy, he wanted to offer prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead in suitable language. But because he was inexperienced, he could not adjust himself immediately. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, being situated in everyone's heart, could understand Dhruva Maharaj's awkward position. Out of his causeless mercy, he touched his conch shell to the forehead of Dhruva Maharaj, who stood before him with folded hands. Since he was only a mere child, Dhruva did not know what he was supposed to say to the Lord. So the Lord touched his divine conch shell onto the forehead of Dhruva, and immediately transferred all of the Vedic knowledge into his mind. With all of this knowledge now in his mind, he had now attained the position of a pure devotee at such a young age. With all this knowledge now in his mind, he started to speak. "O my Lord, you have enlivened all of my senses, my hands, legs, ears, nose, tongue, eyes, and most importantly, my power of speech. I'm only able to speak and praise to you because of your empowerment and inspiration." He had now acknowledged that your hands, legs, eyes, ears, tongue, eyes, and power of speech should all be used for the service of the Lord. So now that he had attained the position of a pure devotee and he had acknowledged this, what was he going to do next? Is he going to ask the Lord for wealth or power or fame? Or is he still jealous of his stepmother and stepbrother? Well, the answer to this question is no. He had attained the position of a pure devotee, and he didn't have any selfish desires anymore. But he did have one question. How can one attain Vaikuntha? He started to say, one can only attain Vaikuntha if they are the greatest devotee and are in the association of great devotees, and if they have great love for the Lord. So while he was saying this, the Lord was just standing there the whole time. So what is he going to say about this? Well, you guys are going to hear about that in the presentation in a week, so stay tuned. But before I end, I would like to talk about the pearls of wisdom in this chapter. So the first one is, with character and determination in place, age and gender don't even qualify as a criteria for success. Even though he's just a small boy, he achieves success through perseverance, proving that age and gender do not define success. 2, unlock the spiritual potency of the material senses. He turned his material senses towards devotion, and he showed that they are not always bad, and they can just be tools for spiritual growth. 3, sow your seeds, prepare for rain. All of the austerities that he did had to be done, but in the end, his success depended on the Lord's blessings. He would not have been able to speak to the Lord if he had not given him all of the knowledge to be able to do that. 4, maintain pure desires and sincere endeavors. At first, he had a lot of other initial desires to have wealth and fame and to sit on his father's lap, but in the end, all of those desires transformed into pure devotion through his sincere efforts to meet with the Lord. 5, seek what is of true value, wealth, fame, devotion, and satisfaction. So he acknowledged that devotion to the Lord is much more better than any material wealth or power. 6, do not be overconfident in your power. Seek empowerment from the source of all power, God. Despite all of his previous acts, he acknowledged that true power actually comes from God. It doesn't really matter if you have like amazing grades or are in a good college or have like an amazing position in a job or are rich. What actually matters is true power from God and your devotion to God. 7, do what is humanly possible, but in the end, it all depends on God's sanction. So he put in his best effort by doing a lot of austerities and eating only like berries for a lot of months. But in the end, ultimately, his success all depended on God's will. Only because God actually was the one to go and wanted to meet him, that was the only reason that he was able to have success. Thank you for listening. Hare Krishna.
Deepika, do you plan to take this on the road? You could do a multi-city tour with this. It's compelling. And I found your interspersement of beautiful slides, nicely juxtaposed, as you had 2 per page, which kind of told a story along with the fine points that you made. Add to that your sense of confidence in presenting this. It seemed to me that you had gone deeply in the material because you just stood and delivered. It made for a very moving presentation.
Thank you.
Nicely concluded also. Had a clear train of thought and a very powerful ending. Thank you very much for putting your heart and soul into it. It was impressive. Hare Krishna.
Hi.
You do very nicely with public speaking. You didn't say one or oh. You paused when you needed to. You didn't go too quickly. And in your pearls of wisdom points, you elaborated. You didn't just read from them. Like my husband said, you knew the material, and it was quite impressive. I think you could take this on the road. Congratulations. It was really nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deepika. And we can share.
Above to what all was already said, I really liked your sense of humor as well in your slides. And also your very practical realization about it's not about the grades or which school you get into, but it's the will of the Lord which actually makes things going. So thank you for including those personal realizations also.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions, reflections? Manjula Kanta Mataji.
Listening to you was really a pleasure because it brought back so many memories of shlokas I have been listening to and how beautifully you brought them back into this presentation. I realized Gurudev always reminds us that, when you're doing devotional service, knowledge and detachment, the side effects of actually doing the service. And today when you were presenting, I was thinking that Dhruva had no ability to actually appreciate the Lord or thank the Lord. But the Lord gave him the knowledge. And he came there with so many material desires, but God gave him detachment. So it's so beautiful how you bring what you have, and the Lord fills up the gaps. And in that way, we become complete. And it's such a nice example of how devotional service completes us. Thank you so much for this.
Mayapur Bihari Prabhu.
Thank you for a wonderful presentation. Congratulations. One thing I really liked, thank you for reminding me, the last slide, summarizing things that we can do what we can do, but at the end of the day, it's blessing of Lord Vishnu. So that is an important takeaway for me. I get, why is things not progressing, even though it may be a spiritual project, according to my speed or what I want. And thank you for reminding me that.
Anyone else? Just we are done. Okay. Thank you so much, Deepika. That was excellent. And I want to also congratulate you for doing this so wonderfully. I had to put no effort. I had to just guide her after seeing the slides that, just this a little adjustment here and there, but everything's coming from her, and I can see so well the maturity that has come over the years of presenting and seeing her grow from a little child in the Amudra class to a Kraisharangal. I'm very proud of you. Thank you all for encouraging and giving us this honor of presenting and sharing. It means a lot to the children of this age to be able to express themselves, and also it's a great inspiration to learn more, to go deeper into the Shastra, which is in line with whatever our acharyas are asking us to do. So thank you so much for your encouragement.
Now we have couple of announcements, starting with Bhakti Community.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you, everyone. I just want to share a little story of a newcomer who came to our sessions from a book distributor, and she joined our Monday session. She kept attending some Monday sessions, which are more speaker-driven sessions, and we do Bhagavad Gita and that. And things started just making sense to her, and then she started coming to our Thursday session, which is more, we show a video to people and then we take them into smaller breakout rooms and they discuss with devotees and other participants. And when she started coming there, she started sharing a lot of her very deep personal things to the smaller group of people. And she was facing some challenges, and other participants and our devotees started explaining to her how they have dealt with it and how it has helped them, what was their solution. She really started liking this. She started coming to us around in November. And yesterday she lives around 2 hours from here. Yesterday she came to our in-person program, and she could just know all the people because she had been seeing them in our online. She saw Krishna and she said, hey, I know her and I want to just speak with her. And throughout she sat with Krishna, she knew Vicky. And so she knew everybody like in the room, and she was not a stranger. She was so comfortable, and she started taking a lot of books from us. So that's what we really do. Bhakti community is all about giving that environment so that when they meet us in person, they don't feel like, hey, we are in an alien place and I'm an alien here, or it's an awkward situation. So it's a very friendly community. So whenever you give books to people today, or whenever you have new contacts, please introduce them to Bhakti community. We are happy to welcome them and give them a spiritual environment. Thank you, everyone.
Now we have Team ISV Book Distribution with Malini Devi Dasi. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. We have our Gaur Purniya monthly Sankirtan festival, which is in progress. This is titled Be a Gardener. Like we have every year, we have some small goals of distributing Sri Chaitanya Charitamritas, because we are just gearing up to Bhadra Purnima. This time, the goal is to distribute at least 275 Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita sets from after our marathon until leading up to Gaur Purnima. And I know that many teams have been going out regularly, and even while we were in India, and we have seen the scores of Chaitanya Charitamritas distributed is amazing amount of book distribution. And last week also we were in a city called Dublin, because we thought that Cupertino is drying up. Let's try to go to Dublin and see what we can do there. And many devotees went there for the book distribution. I had the fortune to go with Achyuta Kumar Prabhu, then we have Rohini Dulal Prabhu, Harikatha Mataji, and Sachinandan Gauranga Prabhu and others joined. It was really nice because just in a couple of hours, we were able to distribute about 22 Chaitanya Charitamrita sets at that place. There were many instances where it was very encouraging to see that. But there is one thing I wanted to mention is that we went and distributed books during our marathon in stores. We put it in CVS pharmacy, we put in other places. And when we were at Indian store, there was one lady, she's I think African American, and with one of her friends, he's from Iran, they speak Farsi. And they both came, and I presented a Bhagavad Gita, and she said, I already have this. And I said, where did you get it? And she said, I work in a CVS pharmacy, and last December, people were giving books at the different stores, and I happened to receive one. And I started, but I didn't finish it yet. And then we said, oh, now we have a Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's a 9-book series. Would you like it? And she said that, I really like spiritual knowledge, and I like to know about different cultures and traditions. And And she said, yes, I will take it. This was all in a matter of 2 to 3 minutes. We didn't speak much. And her friend, who was there, he immediately gave $51 as donation for the entire set of Chaitanya Charitamrita and just went away. I was thinking how Bhagavad Gita was helping them purify their consciousness just being in their presence, and then now they're graduating to take Chaitanya Charitamrita. And there was another one that we were distributing here at the store, and there was a car parked right in front of us. And there was a lady sitting in the front, right side, in the passenger seat, and we were distributing Chaitanya Charitamritas, and then she was observing. She was sitting there for quite a while, I would say like 15-20 minutes or so. And then she decided she has to come out, and then she came out. And she said, what are you doing? I see people going out with boxes and boxes. What is this? And then we told that this is Chaitanya Charitamrita and this is what we are doing. And she said, my husband is not spiritual, but I like spirituality. And she said, can I have one? And she took a set of Chaitanya Charitamrita as well, and she left. So it was so nice to see when it is said that when Bhagavatam is spoken, the speaker, the receiver, and everybody else around gets purified. We felt like when book distribution happens, everybody else also was getting the effects of it, even though we didn't directly speak to them. So it was really nice. And we also have Kameshwari here. She takes out the Kid Sankirtan team every week. So maybe we can hear a little something from her about how they are distributing like almost 20 sets every week in different locations.
Hare Krishna. Last Saturday, we tried different location as we were in that area. And I would just share a couple of things. We went and asked for permission for the store manager, and Ramrati Prabhu very nicely convinced him. He always does that. And he said, okay, but you should have only 1 or 2 people, not more than that. And make sure you're not in the way. And then we agreed to everything. We set up the table, and we actually started meeting our own devotees for some reason in tribal area. And then I was thinking, none of the CCs went so far, but many devotees we met. I was thinking it's a good sign. Anyway, it's auspicious to see the devotees. They all have Chaitanya Charitamrita. They are all devotees of Lord Chaitanya. So we kept praying. And there was one person who came and he said, we presented Chaitanya Charitamrita. He said, I'm not a devotional, but my wife is. So let me bring her. And he brought his wife. Okay, you can talk to her, and he left. And then she was very favorable. She heard about Lord Chaitanya for the first time. She said, I would like to read about it. If Krishna came in this form, I never heard about it. And she took the set. She gave a full donation. And she said she's going to come tomorrow. Hopefully, we can make it a welcoming experience for her. So it was very quick. There were many instances where it was difficult, but it was very nice and encouraging. And then after that, we met another person who was just leaving quickly, very fast with the cart, with his groceries. And we stopped him, and he said, oh, Prabhupada's books, yeah, I have full set of Bhagavatam. I have read Bhagavad Gita. Then I said, are you going to any temple? He said, no, but I have the books, and from somebody I received it. Then I showed Chaitanya Charitamrita, and he said, oh yeah, okay, let me take Chaitanya Charitamrita also. And in between there were difficult experiences, but it was such a good experience. It was encouraging. I'm just sharing what I remember, because it was really Lord Chaitanya's mercy. And he came, he took the set, and he gave the full donation, and he left. And then after that, one person came. Okay, this is the last one. There are many, but I'm just want to be quick. There was one more person, he came, and he said that I'm all done with this life. I want to go to Vrindavan and I want to settle there. And then we felt like, wow, this is very pious soul. He's very much like ripe. And he said, my daughter goes to medical school, and this is last year when I'm done paying for it, I know what I'm going to do. I have looked for a spot in Vrindavan, and this world is not for me. I'm totally done with it. And then it was like he was completely, seemed like he is very detached, and but he was not very so much. When we showed books, and he was like, "No, I'm not interested into the books," and maybe later sometime. But when he heard that Lord Himself came to show us an example how to become devotees, what we are trying to make an effort for to become devotee. And by reading this book, actually we will know how to make this effort. And somehow Lord Chaitanya in his heart, probably would have made some impression on him, and he took the set and he gave some partial donation. And yeah, thank you, Hare Krishna.
Please join us today. We have many spots. One Western, then we have Indian stores. We have many spots. And we have only 2 weekends, this weekend and next weekend, before we make an offering to Shri Mahaprabhu. And as part of this, we also have 2 goals, is that we want to memorize at least 1 verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita and share 1 reflection from the book distribution. We'll provide the index cards tomorrow at the Sunday book table. Please collect them. Thank you very much. Yes.
Just a quick report from the Yatra book distribution. Chikujavena and Malini helped to organize it all. And between Jagannath Puri and Vrindavan, we distributed 5,000 books in 10 days, and 5,000 lollipops, and around 5,000 Jagannath stickers. Hare Krishna. And a quick point about on the way home, when we flew from Calcutta to Bombay, I was walking down the galleyway to the airplane, and I heard some commotion behind me, and I looked back, and I had no idea what was going on. But Sudhira said, "Oh, what's the guy's name? Shatrughna Singh," and everyone was surrounding him, taking pictures and this and that. So Sudhira said, "I'm going to talk to him, so he'll talk to you." So he talked to him, and then I had a few words with him, but he just walked past me. But the amazing thing was, when we were getting on the airplane, for no reason caused by us, and when Nirkula and I got to the ticket gate, they said, "Oh, we're upgrading you to first class." We didn't even ask for it. They just switched out our tickets and each gave us a first class ticket, which by the time we got on the plane, I was sitting right behind Shatrughna Singh. And I could tell he was famous because everyone getting on the plane, and leaning in, talking to him and everything like that. So I had a Hindi Bhagavad Gita. And, right when we were landing, I leaned up and started talking to him, and I gave him the Bhagavad Gita. I said, "This is for your daughter. It's a wedding present." Because we looked it up online, and his daughter just got married. So we got off the plane, and they bussed us to the, how Air India does? You get off and you get on a little bus. And when we walked in the terminal, people were around him, taking pictures, asking him this and that. So we just kind of walked up and said, we'll take a picture too. So I had a picture with him. And then he turned to me and he said, when I gave him the Bhagavad Gita, he said, "It's a great honor to receive this." But then when I took the picture with him, he said, "I met His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. He said it was the greatest honor of my life to sit with him for 1 hour and hear from him." And we said, "Where?" And he said, in Juhu. And then that was it. The crowd whisked him away because it was a growing crowd. Everyone wanted to see him take his picture. But I could see it was Krishna's arrangement. The first class upgrade, all of a sudden, for no apparent reason, sitting right next to him, hand him the book. get off the photo op and everything. And then he said, I met Prabhupada. It was he said it with great emphasis. It was the greatest honor of my life to meet him. So it was a reminder to me that Krishna is arranging everything, and also that nothing goes in vain. Whatever you put out there, it sticks and it goes into people's lives. Even if it's brief, that'll stick in it, and then Krishna will make more arrangements for it later. Hare Krishna.
I just wanted to add a little bit to the Yatra book distribution. So we had Yatra in 2 cities, Puri and in Govardhan. So we had to take a flight. And Maharaj, you were talking about expanding book distribution horizontally, but Mali Mataji has expanded it vertically. So she distributed her Srimad Bhagavatam set at 30,000 feet and the aeroplane to a doctor who was sitting right next to her. So I just wanted to...
Not only that, she also sold her Yatra songbook. She came off the plane, like, where's your songbook? Oh, I sold it to the other guy. Any other points? Announcements?
Hare Krishna. Today's prasadam was cooked by Koladweep Prana Prabhu, Dhir Prashant Prabhu, Jamuna Mataji, Hansa Priya Mataji, and Shailen Prabhu.
Sharirat Vijaja Jodendriya Tahika Jive Pele Vishaya Shagare Talmaji Jibayati Loba Moy Sudurmati Take Jeta Krishna Varadoyamoy Kori Bare Jivajay Shaprasadana Dilobhai Shayandamrita Pao Radha Krishna Guna Gao Preme Dakto Shri Chaitanya Nita Preme Dakto Shri Chaitanya Nita Mahaprasade Govinde Nama Pramadi Vaishnave Sapa Punya Patam Rajan Krishna Solavijay Prasade Sarva Dukkana Manirasyo Pajayate Prasana Chetaso Yashu Buddhipaya Patishtete Sayopa Bhukta Svananda Vasalankara Charchitaha Uttishta Bodhano Dasas Tavamayam Jayemahi Shiksha Prayushitam Vapi Nityam Vadurkeshita Prapti Matrena Buddhavyam Natrakala Vicharana Nadesha Niyamastatra Natala Niyamastatra Praptamanam Dhritam Shrishte Bhoktaran Hara Abrave Bhagavat Shri Mahaprasariki Go Premanande Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Please come take prasadam.